Hi everyone, and welcome back to this Udemy course on Focchi Facades. In this tutorial we're going to be, well, it's exciting because we're going to start configuring our facades for our Udemy Apartments 123 project. So initially what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at a few different options of how we introduce a few of these elements and the way I like to work. Also some tips and tricks on how to implement the elements correctly. Now initially what I like to do is I like to go over here to our snap options, and here, as you can see, as I've mentioned before, we're able to toggle the visibility and the snap configuration of each reference. So for instance, floor slabs, roofs, walls and Focchi panels. So these are the four fundamental references we have. I'm going to turn off floor slabs and I'm going to turn off the roof as well, and both the visibility and the snap. What that's going to allow me to do is actually just get a clearer view of the building, and also not have slabs and this sort of thing impeding our facade layout. So we're going to be looking at the outside of the building and the walls on the outside completely. So we don't actually need the slabs, and this will make our life just a bit more easier when we're looking at snaps and this sort of thing. So let's get started. I'm going to first start amending this side of the building, the right hand side of the staircase here. I haven't actually inputted a different spatial geography and stuff like that. We're just gonna go through it like this, and I hope that works. So I'm going to have a wall of solar collectors on this side here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to create a few rows of solar collectors, four rows of solar collectors. So we're going to have one for each level, basically. And these solar collectors are a facade in which they work differently to photovoltaic cells. Solar collectors, again, we went through this when I went through the elements. Solar collectors generate heat, and from there turn them into electricity. Okay, so let's get started. Why not? What I'm initially going to do is I'm going to choose the linear option here. And once I choose the linear option, again, we've been through this, I'm going to input a solar collector unit. My thickness is going to be 1200. And by the way, you guys should be following me, but if you guys want to do your own design, that's totally up to you. And my finish is going to be timber. The insulation thickness, I'm going to leave it at 155, which is standard. So let's accept these changes. So as you can see, my cursor is actually it will be snapping onto different elements and different spaces in the building. As you can see here, it's snapping onto the wall on the other side here, or I can move it here to this wall with the adjoining wall here, and then the ability to move around. But what I'm going to do, because my snap options are on, I'm going to zoom in on this section here, and I'm going to first come into this corner, have the teal square. As you can see now, it's highlighted that I'm actually on the corner of the building. I'm going to click left. I'm going to left click once, and as you can see now, I have the option to start amending my wall. So I can go down to the left hand side, or I can move here. And moving along this wall, I'm going to reach the other corner, and as you can see, once I'm at the other corner, the whole panel is highlighted, and the square appears again. And this square corresponds to the end or the corner of the section. So I'm going to double click again, and that's going to introduce the second point. Now I have to amend my height, and this height I'm going to amend it all the way to the second level, to the ground floor level. Right now, these panels are going to exist on the basement. So another click again, and I'm left here with my reference tab. Now, the height of my solar collector here, I'm going to amend it to 2775. My bottom margin, I'm going to leave it at 250. And we're going to have the thickness at 1200, and the height here is going to be 3775. 3775 with the insulation thickness at 155. Let's accept those changes. And as you can see now, those changes have been inputted. And you can see my solar collectors here, but we do have one problem. And that problem is this last solar collector here. And this might give us some problems. But what actually is happening is the program has decided that a solar collector cannot exist on the edge here. Now that might be because the wall isn't thick enough for two of them, but that actually can be overridden quite easily. Let's go to our delete option. Let's hover over our opaque unit that doesn't have a solar collector present. Left click to select it, and then right click to delete. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to copy one of these and move them to the right. And this is a great demonstration of how we actually overcome these difficulties. Let's go to the copy button here in our edit. And as you can see now, I'm able to copy one using the left click. And now once I've selected all the elements I want to copy, I'm going to right click to be able to specify the starting location of my copy that I'm about to proceed into. So now so once I've done that, let me left click, and now I'm able to move it. Now I'm able to move and specify the final destination of where I want it to be. Now what actually might happen is that you might not be able to get it correctly straight. So you might not be able to place it correctly straight. A tool for that, a little shortcut, is by holding down the shift key. Now, by holding down the shift key, I'm specifying that my wall will exist at right angles. So as you can see here, the orthogonality tool, in which it's basically a shortcut for the orthogonality tool, isn't it? So let's move over, and I'll be able to place my conjoining wall, conjoining panel there. Now as I right click and I view, I can see that there is a little bit of a gap there. I can also move it. And we can zoom in, of course, to get that just right. Oh. Again, holding down the shift key, and it's been connected now. And that's been done. So as you can see, quite well done in this first level. Now let's move on. As you can see here, I've reached the top of the basement level. Now my next three rows of solar collectors will have to exist. Will have to be a bit shorter in height, but that's fine. Fundamentally the same deal. Let's initially come out here. Let's have a look at the linear input to input the function. Let's go to the left here and do the exact same thing. To the end, left click again, and I'm able to amend my height now. Now, as you can see, I want it to be on the top of that, exactly here. Left click again, and now we're here. Now, the thickness here will be 1,200. The height will be 2,900 millimeters. The height of the solar collector will be 2,625. And I'm going to leave my bottom margin again as 250. We might be able to play around with that a bit later if we want to. And there we go. That's our adjoining. That's our ground floor done there. So as you can see, the panels look quite nice. we can actually play around with it even more and actually specify these panels to be higher if I want them to be, or lower, depending on my needs and the way I want my building to look aesthetically. Now, it's quite easy in the sense of finishing the rest of this building. We know that the levels are identical, our level 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, our level ground 1, 2. So now I'm easily able to have a look at that. So our height here was, our height for the ground floor solar collector was 2,900, and the rest of them are 2,900 as well. So let's what we can do is we can now copy again. So let's copy a batch of these. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right click to input that copy. Then the starting position, I'm going to leave it at that corner, and holding down the shift key, let's move up. So as you can see, I'm able to input those quite well. So now zooming in, I'm going to hover over the end, and as you can see, I've just inputted there. We can zoom in to actually confirm that that's actually created a snug fit. Now, of course, there will be spaces there that we can correspond as well. So again, let's copy, right click, start, holding the shift key down and moving up. And now, as you can see, I've selected that perfectly. And that's how we configure our facades. Now, they do look quite nice, and of course these solar collectors add to the energy efficiency rating of the building and the energy consumption as well. Well, two in the same thing. And they do have, again, we have options to change the finish. So I've opted for a timber finish here, but again, we had the porcelain and the others as well. So that's our solar collector input finished. Now, this is the easiest part of the building. This part and this part are the easiest. Here, when we go into specifics, we will have to develop certain measurements and look at the windows and the doors and be able to craft the facades around the design. So again, what we can do is I can now turn on my snaps, and let's go into our 3D viewer and actually view the structure. And there you go. That does look quite nice. Now, what I can do here to actually make this a bit more succinct is move my bottom rows to be exactly the same. So what I can do now, so moving here, you can see that the solar collector has a height of 2625, and here it has 2775. So what I can do is I can edit this here. I can actually change the bottom margin. So now I can make it into 700. And as you can see, I've moved that bit up as well. So I can do the whole thing as 700 if I like, to make my building a bit more aesthetically pleasing and succinct. Oh, what happened here? There were repeated references. Let's just change this to 8. Oh. Okay, perfect. And there we go. Let's have a look at it now again. And that does look quite better. That does look better. And there's our solar collector panels. All right, guys. See you guys in the next video where we'll be panning over to the other side of the building. See ya.